3-7. Crack Big Back is back.
Okay. Oh man, love that you're going through those memories with our campaign. It's kind of crazy thinking of how 2020 took everyone by surprise. No one, I feel, saw the full effect of it coming to us, and throughout a very hard time for everyone, we ended up becoming a lot better friends through D&D. So I want to welcome everyone to our show for the evening. Yes, this is pre-recorded. There have been technical difficulties, and yours truly has rolled some natural ones on intelligence checks. So scrambling to make sure that we can get this out for everyone to enjoy a little later than planned. But hey, I know you all have off tomorrow. It's Memorial Day weekend. Before we kind of get even further in, does anyone have any plans for tomorrow? Getting together with family?
Not me.
Nope.
Bunch of nothing.
Bunch of nothing. Well, same here. Got work all day. Besides that, just trying to enjoy some of the sun. Hopefully it's good. Everyone out there that is catching this on the replay, thanks so much. I hope you guys all have a great weekend and get to sleep in a little bit because you're catching this a little later. So thank you. Before we get further on into our D&D talk, because today what we are going to be rolling with is a roll for wisdom. Obviously, we're not playing D&D. You can see we don't have the whole campaign. We don't have the whole party here. But before we get into a rolling for wisdom, and to stop and touch base with DCT Industries. Listen, if you haven't yet, please make sure to head on over to their Facebook at dctindustries.tabletopgaming, as well as their Instagram, dct_industries, where they have some of the designs for Kaimon, a new tabletop wargaming from over here in Western New York. It is a mix of the animated monster mon genre, if you're familiar with that term. If not, think Pokemon and Digimon and kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! With monsters battling on a tabletop environment, similar to Warhammer Age of Sigmar now, yes, as well as 40K. But instead of playing on a larger table, it's on a 2x2 mat. I actually had the pleasure of getting to test out a few rounds of it 2 weeks ago. It was really fun, very entertaining. They were just some of the sample minis that I got to play with. Personally, one of my favorites, Smug Whale. It is all the hype that it was built up to be. It really is pretty cool. I got to face him. But make sure to head on over to DCT Industries, like their comment, like their posts and pictures, as well as do a little bit of commenting. Let them know what kind of mind you are interested in seeing created next, as well as stay on the lookout for the full game as it's going to be released, hopefully by the end of this year. And I know you guys want to be ready for it, so you don't miss it. Till then, we're going to begin a little discussion. As I said, we're not going to be playing a full-on session tonight. We actually are going to be having a session of Roll for Wisdom, where generally it's me and Danny doing a little bit of character building or talking about topics within D&D, whether it's from source books or campaigns, modules. Tonight, I actually have two of our, I'll say it with air quotes, newer additions to the campaign. If you have been following from the old school OG days with Boom Boom, Remus, and Howard, but throughout a transition of players, about beginning of last September, I realized 2 wasn't the best of a best party number to have for a full feature length campaign, if you will. So I reached out to 2 friends, Mark and Tony, saying, "Hey, why don't you jump in, play a little bit of D&D?" They said yes, eagerly excited, and we're almost about half a year, 3/4 of the year later, and I don't think the campaign or party would be the same without you two. And welcome, guys. Let everyone know what was your experience, or how were you brought to D&D? Because I don't believe this was the first time you'd played for either of you, correct? Mark, yeah.
Sorry, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Go first.
Okay. So my first experience with D&D, I've got kind of 2 because one was my true first experience with D&D. I remember being I want to say a freshman in high school, and we had a couple friends who we knew who were seniors, and they were playing 3.5, or it might have been 3.0 at that point. I'm not for certain. I think 3.5. I remember going to their house. He was showing me the monster manual, showing me the player's handbook. Made up a cool character. I made a level 1 wizard, and we were playing with like 9 other people. And it was pretty short lived. I mean, we had some chaotic rogue agents in the group, as you know how you are in high school. Everyone wants to be chaotic neutral. I don't remember too much of that game, but maybe played 2 sessions, and that was kind of it for a while. And then later on, kind of with my more core group of friends at the time, one of their older brothers DM'd for us. He was a little more experienced, and I think we were playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know for certain.
Thaco?
No Thaco. I think it was
pre-Thaco.
What was the one? Was there one before Thaco?
Thaco was Advanced D&D. Are you thinking about 3.5?
No.
Unless Thaco was a thing at 3.5.
Put it this way. I said I wanted to play a wizard. I wanted to make that character again. And he said, okay, cool. Let's hope you get it. And he gave me a table and I had to roll.
Oh.
So it was like old D&D.
Oh, that's like the old school. You had to like get your scores in order.
Yeah. It was that D&D. Whatever that was.
That's like the OG, like the beginner. That's cool.
Yeah. I did get the wizard. I was lucky enough to do that. I want to say like I leveled up slower than the rest of the party, because apparently that's what happens when you're a wizard in the old games. So that was probably my most my true first like D&D campaign that went longer than a couple sessions. That was a lot of fun. I'm trying to remember the rest of the party. I think there was 5 of us, but the typical adventure is nothing too crazy, but it was still very fond memories. And still we joke about that campaign every once in a while. Couple inside jokes still linger around.
I'm sure. That's one of the things that honestly it was the draw to D&D for me. Was at first it was brought on from Critical Role, because watching and seeing not the show production, but when you hear about how this core group of friends on the side before they went live, and seeing pictures was like, that's cool. I want to see that. And then Freaks and Geeks is where I also kind of picked up seeing it. And then even in Stranger Things. And that was the draw to it. Cool. And I've never been able to really have a full live campaign. So that sounds awesome. I'm happy you guys were able to take that and have that experience.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of fun when you get like a good group, and the offside of that is trying to find the right group. I'm not going to say there's bad groups. I mean there are, but there's a right group for everybody, and it's kind of finding that chemistry. People want different things out of a campaign, and I was lucky enough to get that pretty early on. And then I think we got that now too. I mean, I feel I love this campaign that we're playing, the current one. It is so much fun, and it definitely has that camaraderie between our characters, and like that's so cool. You know what I mean?
You all take on personalities of your own. Mark, where was your experience, and how did you come into D&D?
I was probably like 12 or 13, and my first ever time playing Dungeons and Dragons was actually with the son of the pastor of my church. So he was all into like strategy, Axis and Allies, Magic the Gathering, war games, and we would do like sleepovers at his house, and if we weren't running around the basement shooting each other with rubber band guns, we were like playing these offshoot D&D sessions. And I don't actually know if we were playing the right way. My memory does not serve me well enough to know if we were just winging it and just having fun, like using our imagination. And then it kind of carried over. We played in Boy Scouts at summer camp when we were out for a week. And again, we played this like space sci-fi version. I think it was called Rifts, Rifts. And I think I had this weird like blue 6-armed monkey character that I was playing as, or like I was like a half minotaur. It was the wildest thing. I don't remember much of that either, but it was probably around that same time, like 13, 14. And then puberty and all that stuff happens, and it's not cool to like wrestling or Magic the Gathering or anything like that, so you kind of just dump it off and get interested in girls. And my reintroduction into it actually was probably, I would have to say, because of Stranger Things as well. And the fact that my son, my older son, Titus, who's been, he did the one day in the Halloween episode, I think. Or, yeah.
Podkeep Manor.
Yeah, Podkeep Manor. And he had started watching Stranger Things too, and I'm pretty sure, so Titus, if you end up watching this, don't hate me, I'm not trying to embarrass your kid. I'm pretty sure this girl that he liked was into Dungeons and Dragons as well. So he was like, well, she likes it. I mean, I've seen it on Stranger Things. I like it. It's kind of cool. And then he has gotten more sucked into it because of our campaign and the way we're playing. He's off on the side, giving me little hints and what I should do and making suggestions to try and help Azoth out with what to do next. And you know, it's kind of fun just seeing now like something that I'm enjoyed doing as a social aspect and having fun hanging out with the guys. And he's actually watching, and it's not just a bunch of improvisers or professional actors, you know, they're doing it for the camera and making, you know, like a thing out of it. It's just like a bunch of guys hanging out, laughing, telling a story, having a good time. And he enjoys like watching our nonsense. Like when we start stealing wheels and like making animated corpses out of body parts, like he's just over here giggling because it's the stupidest. It's so stupid, but it's so great. And like from a childlike lens, he is just eating it all up. It's like so much fun. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. Now, Tony, you played a wizard. What made you guys both come in? I think I remember saying like, hey, there's no real healer. So someone coming in, please just be able to heal people. And there's multiple classes that can do that. Why'd you guys choose your races and your classes specifically coming into this? Or what were you trying to think of when you were coming into creating these characters? Because Finks, Tony, is vastly different than Azoth with Mark.
Yeah, true. They do have their similarities, though, strangely enough.
There is. Everyone has slight similarities.
Yeah, I feel like we share some thematic stuff. So Finks in particular is actually...
Well, hold on. Let me also just give a disclaimer. As players, don't reveal anything that your character is hidden. So like,
oh, sure, yeah,
and don't feel obligated. Like there is still a sense of mystery from the viewers as well as you both, that if your characters have certain stuff hidden of a backstory or lore, please don't just open that gate.
Okay,
go on.
So I was going to say, before the campaign, Finks as a concept was actually supposed to be a druid, and I always refer to him as a shaman anyway. So he was supposed to be there was I think Unearthed Arcana, but it's official now, but the Circle of Spores, I think, is what it's called. And it's all based on like mushrooms and like fungus and all that. And you can see where that carries over to his cleric stuff. I mean, he's always supposed to be like a little into like finding those funguses and like the deep gross things in the woods. Like that was just like what he did. So he was supposed to be a spore druid, and I was going to have his like animal forms be, you know, various like mushroom shapes that would effectively be the animal, but you know, stuff like that. And then I knew there was a druid in the party already. So one, I didn't want to overlap. So I said, okay, what else can I do? Can I still play this character? And I went through different things. I was going to make him like a mounted ranger at one point, which I don't think that would have worked. But I guess there's some synergies with the Beastmaster, where since you're small, you can ride a medium beast and then effectively have a mount. So that'd be kind of cool. But I ended up settling on cleric. One, we needed a healer. But two, I discovered the trickery domain. I'm like, oh, what is this? And just like all like the focus on like the nuisance and the annoyance. And, you know, I thought Anthony would be a pretty cool DM for, you know, some of the illusion stuff. You know, DMs make or break with those types of characters. And like, honestly, I got to hand it to you. You make it a lot of fun to be creative with Finks. So I was actually pleasantly surprised with how much better the cleric fit his character than the initial druid did. So, I guess my long-winded answer summed up was kind of forced myself into wanting to play this character still, and cleric seemed to be the only way to do it without overlapping classes. So kind of fell into it, and it felt like a natural fit.
Nice, very nice. See, I've had one other player as a cleric. My other campaign that I played with my group of friends on the weekends, and their cleric plays it very different from you. They've have a grave cleric,
Okay.
and not so much on the trickery side, more of emissary of deliverance of death, and just have their own annoyances as their own characters, but nowhere near as playful and just he's up to like there's always an up to no good. It's not like nothing extremely harmful, but like what is Finks about to do with this? It's very easy to bait him into it.
Oh,
like
yeah.
with the mist. Like with the mist, it was like, I can get you into this mist. I know I can. You could as a
Yeah, it's not too
character,
bad.
you could have as a character been like, no, I'm not gonna let him. But you're like, he would.
He would though. That's the thing. So another weird thing with this character in particular is the role playing. How do you play high wisdom, low intelligence? And I feel like I'm trying to do that, but it's like a weird, line to walk sometimes. It's like, no, he's not smart, but he's also like, oh, hey, this is a bad idea. Sometimes, he can feel that there's something off, but kind of his greedy nature, he'll override that every once in a while.
Where it's the critical thinking isn't the best in the moment, but
and he's
you play
a
him
fast thinker.
perfect.
He's a fast thinker, not a slow thinker, I guess. He's not going to plan something out long term.
That is there you go. If it's, I mean, you do have those moments, but the wisdom comes into play, and you do work your way up around it. But definitely impulsive, and you play him very much like a rogue at times.
Yeah, he's kind of built that way. I took a lot of his proficiencies in stealth and sleight of hand, and it doesn't come up much, but when it does, it's like, yeah, this is what he should be doing. This is what he's good at.
We forget about it. I think sometimes as players and as a DM, but I love Finks in my group. He is a fun cleric, and you know what? Take a moment to think on this one, because I'm going to pass it over to Mark after. You had to reclass Finks. Where are you placing him?
Ooh,
and,
okay.
And why, Mark?
Well, let me clarify. At this point in the story,
if right now, if something happened and he was like, nope, we're gonna run him something different. Okay. Where is he going?
Got it,
Mark.
All right, so Azoth is a wood elf moon druid, as you can see on the tag, if you can still see that. So when I first was playing D&D, like back in the day, I think I was running like my dad used to play too. So I learned about it from my dad, who still had like, before there was like 3D mold printed, like he has like little pewter, like cast pewter D&D figures. And he always played as a wizard. He's into wizards. Like it was always his like little, much like Optimus Prime for me, wizards was his thing. And like my grandfather had all these really cool books about like fairies, elves, goblins, giants. This really awesome illustrated fantasy series of books. And I would always read through them as a kid. And elves always stuck out to me for some reason. I don't know why, but when I played Magic, I was always usually building like a green or black deck. I was usually playing as like an elf or a dark elf. Something about, I don't know, maybe it's because I was in Boy Scouts and I was always like hiking in the woods or being in the woods. I like being in that environment personally. And I kind of like the idea about this, like, I guess it would almost be like a ranger, like an elven ranger, like hiding out in the woods with a bow and arrow, picking people off, almost like a Robin Hood type of, stealthy in the trees, maybe with some daggers. And
I can see it's kind of cliche elf, but that's the thing. It's not bad to like something cliche, because if you like it, it's why you like it. I mean, it's good.
So playing this round and not basically knowing anything about Dungeons and Dragons, because I definitely jumped into this blind. I may have looked at the player's manual through D&D Beyond for like a hot minute just to get an idea. But I was like, I know it's going to be an elf. It's what I was playing in Skyrim and all these other things. And I was like, okay, I knew that. And I think I actually asked you what, party members we had. And I think you were like, we have a rogue, we have a this and that. And I was like, all right, well, what can I learn that's maybe not too complicated and easy enough to like play with, essentially? So like I was going more for like ease of use, because I wanted to go into it not looking like a complete idiot. and maybe the druid class stuck out to me. And when I initially started playing as him, I'm not playing as Azoth the same way when I initially started to where we're at, 9 months later. I've completely changed his character and his way of thinking. He went through some bits where I thought he was going to be doing something along these lines. I kind of liked an idea over here, and it still just wasn't really working out. And then I really figured out how to make him work within the party with the strengths that he had. And that's when I think in the campaign, when I started using wild shape more and shape water. And that's kind of how I'm playing with him now. And I've got some, without any spoiling anything, I've got this idea in my head that I think may work going forward as to where he's at in his head with everything. And I think it could be a lot of fun. But yeah, for me, it's just been figuring out how he fits and how that plays with what he's got. And then as my knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons increases, the way that I play as him changes as well.
Well, you definitely have had a few drastic, hard lefts and rights. You've just been we're going, wait, nope. He cuts a left path. Most recently, the Lulf. Didn't see that coming. That was very just whoa, unexpected, unprecedented. I never thought you would go in that direction with him.
I didn't either, but playing again, like Tony was saying about playing as Finks, going into the mist, that's what Finks would do. And I feel like Azoth's character is to a point where he's got this group of friends now that he didn't have before. He was kind of secluded as a druid, stuck in the woods, just kind of doing the same old mundane tasks. And now he's out on this adventure. He's got these friends, and what lengths will he go to be a friend to these other people that he's with? What would he put himself at risk for the greater good of the party, I guess. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of that mentality. It's
you've had a very strong character, a very strong sense and course of character development with Azoth. Finks too. We haven't pushed super hard on his backstory. We're slowly building it, but I know me and Mark have talked on the side about way Azoth has been built and thinking because you were newer to this game and coming in a little bit more blind. You've had some additional guidance through the character class, kind of being how can you fully maximize and use it to its full potential too, and it wasn't that druids are easy or are difficult, but as far as wanting to be a spellcaster, I feel that they're one of the more easier of classes as compared to the wizard or artificer or the bard, while also maintaining that connection with nature character.
Yeah.
But when you've shifted over to utilize it as the shape change, that's your bread and butter. That's where your go-to is. And I like how you finally started pulling in that, hey, I can use spell slots and hit dice while in animal form. Or is it spell slots in animal form to regain hit points so you can stay there longer?
Yep.
No.
That's pretty cool. I was going to say, I mean, Azoth
nice
is a
shift.
literal Swiss Army knife in this party. It is, you're so versatile with what you can do and what you do. It's, I don't know, kind of invaluable with the small party. We definitely have some deficiencies, but you cover a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's playing as him really forces me to think outside of the box, quite literally. There was the one where I was the spider carrying you guys trying to get through the tunnel. If less of us are going through the tunnel, there's a less chance of us to touch something we shouldn't. How can this work? Can I just be a school bus? Why not?
You're not afraid to use your spells and your abilities for just straight party utility. No, but because you maximize off the beast shapes and your spells to the most efficient when it comes down to an encounter, you're not stuck there going, sorry guys, cover me.
Right.
You always have a backup plan working with Azoth, and I love it. So I want to cut over to Tony to hear his response, but I'm going to pass it over to you next. You had to refresh Azoth and take him in a different path. Where is he going, and what class and direction? What and why? Tony.
All right, so Finks, I kind of went through some preliminary things. Rogue Arcane Trickster was the first one to come to mind. And kind of side by side with that is Illusion Wizard, both of which I don't actually think would be good fits for him because one, he's not very smart, and I don't think I'd want to change the stats to accommodate a new class like that. So I kind of actually ended up settling on Ranger again, mainly because Finks is a coward, and that's actually like a huge part of it. Like if he doesn't have the upper hand, or if he doesn't have like some sort of like trick up his sleeve, he's not in combat. You know what I mean? He's hiding. He's picking people off from afar. And then there's the variant Ranger called the Swarm Keeper. Have you seen this yet?
Is this the one that has the insects?
Mm-hmm. But Finks has rats. He doesn't need insects.
Oh, that would fit with the whole goblin.
Yeah, I'm thinking Lucky can be the alpha as the albino rat.
You just kind of call them all around.
Mm-hmm. And I think that'd be his character, kind of using those to, keep people away from him, hiding and just picking people off with, whatever spells they get, but, mostly the ranged weapons. Not sure if he'd throw rocks with like a sling or use a crossbow, but some form of ranged weapon. Either way, he's staying out of combat.
Train the rats to creep up with the daggers or bite them, poison them. Totally work with him. Having him you embracing the dagger and that rogue aspect of him now has just been very entertaining, and I thank you. I'm not going to say it's going to take a wish spell to remove the dagger permanently.
Why would I remove it? It's great.
Listen, that's
the curse runs
one.
Deep.
Listen, that's one less attunement slot you have to worry about keeping.
Yeah. Well, hey, until we get some more, crazy magic items, I don't have to worry about it. I'm pretty open on those right now.
I would love to see this dagger be like a D20 of daggers, where like every time he goes to use it, it has some different like status effect, whether it affects somebody else or himself as he uses it. Like he goes to cut somebody and he cuts them, but instead of them bleeding, like gold pours out, or just
funny.
Like just the most ridiculous stuff that this random knife that he just for whatever reason is so impulse to use and to keep.
Dagger of the Fae.
like every time he cuts himself, the wound appears on somebody else, like randomly, like just the most like stupid. I don't know.
Interesting.
I like
Make it up. Work it up. Work up a character. Work up a weapon sheet of what you want to see the effects are. Pitch it, and we'll see if it ends up in Barovia.
Also, I don't want to know what it does, so let it happen when it happens.
But all right, Mark, passing on over to you.
All right. So again, I'm still not too well versed with like all these different classes and the new sub books that come out.
Don't worry about all the different subclasses and all that. But just
if I could
direction.
If I could take Azoth in a different direction, and still keeping him as his like wood elf persona with like knowledge and stuff that he has, I would kind of like to go more of the way, and it's going to be really hard for me to describe this because I can see it in my head. So I need you to picture almost like a Han Solo, but as like a Jedi. So he's got the like the banter and the charisma and the like, you want to bet, you want to, kind of that kind of mentality of Han Solo, but at the same time, he's got the ability to do like the Jedi mind trick where it can also be like, we are coming in. And they're like, oh yeah, we will let you in. And like, I kind of would like to see, if it's possible, a build like that to almost be like this, like
so they have that.
wheeling and dealing, like maybe he like is good at like, you know, a magician, almost like not magician like a wizard, but like with card tricks, like that type of a thing.
Well,
Does that make sense?
yes. I mean, you could certainly build him up to, if you have like a class like that in mind, or a build like that in mind, you can easily, to get the Jedi force fighting, the style like the way a Jedi would fight, would be they have the
See,
they have a fighter that does kind of like has the force jumping, like we're gonna do like height jumps, or are you just more or less charming?
the charming aspect of it. I think less of a fighter, more of a like a smooth talker, used car salesman, wheeling, dealing.
Bard.
Yeah, I was thinking Bard too, but I don't know
Bard?
what variant would be good.
But like a wheeling, dealing, like kind of slimy, but you kind of want him to. That's the guy you want at the bar.
Yeah,
to the
this is definitely this is definitely Bard.
Yeah.
So what's cool about Bards too is they've got this one thing where they can like take spell slots from other classes. They get like a very limited number of those. So if there's some like good wizard, like, you know, Jedi type spells that you'd want, you could customize your guy to get those spells when he normally wouldn't be able to.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of like almost kind of like a Watto from Phantom Menace. They're like, hey, no, you don't want to.
That guy. I had to think about that for a second. Oh yeah, that's who that is.
Yeah, that guy. Oh, no, it's a pod racing. You don't want to do that. No. Why don't you come over here and look at this instead? Like,
yeah, I feel like Bard's it. They get this other thing where they can insult people and deal damage too.
Right? Like, I think that would be cool. Like, less of a like, you don't really need me into a fight, but maybe I can get out of a fight or more stuff from it. I don't know.
So I mean, there are a few different Bard colleges, depending on how you want to play. Playing like Wadu. Which one is he from?
The Phantom Menace. He was
with the bird flap, the flyer, right?
Yeah, he was Anakin's like slave owner.
Him? I mean,
but like, yeah, that kind of like sketchy, sleazy. Will hide an extra ace up his sleeve to win at poker. You know, that kind of I don't know. I mean,
that could be kind of be any bard. I mean, there's definitely the College of Whispers is kind of rogue fashioned.
Right.
That seems to be the closest one from just a quick glance.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I feel like Azoth as a character would be like naive enough to be coming out of the woods and be like entranced by this like street magic, this hustling that's going on, and get like so caught, like, you know, they take the most like naive, stupid person to get like caught up in it as their right hand man, but then he actually ends up becoming like better than the person who was like trying to like swindle him. I don't know. I feel like that's
that. Had he been born in the city,
right?
Or closer to the city.
Man, well, I mean, you could even play it by maybe the druidic tribe, or maybe the forest tribe that he's in is a city within the forest, right. You know, with instead of regular standard oak or pine trees or whatever, but have giant like California red oaks, like giant skyscraper tall, Donkey Kong style, where everyone's like living within them. Oh, that's a fun setting. I mean, there could be a lot of creation. All ideas like this. What happens as a dungeon master is you're like, oh wait, that sounds cool. I could do that. I can create a city. I can create a town.
I got room on the other side of the map.
Like Flamingo T-Rex are still floating there off on the side.
Yeah.
What do you think inhabits this forest? Clearly, the pink T-Rex.
That's why they live in the trees, in the red oaks. Exactly, redwoods. Yeah, but well, guys. So that's what you guys would do with your characters. That's kind of where they kind of came from right now. I'm going to give you guys a bit of an open floor of, is there anything specifically that you would want to ask the dungeon master as characters and kind of as players is there anything that you want clarified, or you have curious or questions about the campaign, some of the history, what's happened, where is it going, anything that may help your individual players understand a little bit better? I'll answer with discretion.
Sure.
As well as, you know, maybe this is something that can shed light and give answers to viewers that have just started recently watching or listening. Is there anything that you guys want to know that I can be like, yeah, you can know this?
Not so much what I want to know, but I do want to give you like credit or a shout out for your DMing and your ability to still enable us, because I think all of us, especially Tony and Danny, when they get into their characters, they're committed, like Finks with the fog and Howard not shutting up, and you give them these opportunities or baiting them, as you say, but it makes it so much more believable. It doesn't feel forced, and yeah, I think that in addition, believe it or not, is at the time I probably was like, this is so stupid, but it works. Our Twitter accounts.
Oh.
I think that, again, and I don't say stupid isn't a bad way, but it was one of those things like, it for me personally, it was just for me to keep a ongoing, like a journal almost, just as to what was happening so I could look back on it. And it has evolved into like MTV's The Real World's like inner thoughts, where there's the camera, but we can all kind of be a part of it. So we've got like our inside jokes and we've got our things that are going on that make sense to us, but it's still like there's some fourth wall breakage, but I don't know. I think
Yeah.
I feel like you hit that
Thank you.
perfect. The real world is like the Twitter. That's so funny because that's like dead on exactly what that feels like. And especially since like I don't use Twitter, you know what I mean? I really don't follow anyone but you guys. It does feel that way.
I love it when I'm at work and I just hear blink. It's like notification, what just happened? And it's like, oh wow, players are talking. Crap. Oh yeah, that happened this week. I forgot. Okay. Like, sweet. It's it brightens my day that have you guys as players interact as the characters. And it's as a DM, I don't know, maybe I wonder if other DMs do feel the same way. I'm assuming they do. But when your characters embrace when your players embrace these characters, I should say, or vice versa, regardless how you see it, there are personality moments that spike. And I'll say, Finks, you are a great debate, but Danny eats it up so badly when it's like there may be a crown involved or a cloak or something. He walks right in, and we have an understanding of what probably will happen to Howard as he progresses on his path. And yes, Danny has some expectation of what he wishes to see, and I may or may not give it exactly how he expects it to unfold. I may take a sharp curve and be like, nope, different direction. But he's in for the ride, and it's so worth it as a dungeon master, and to kind of when I can hook Finks in with this mist, and just to see, like, I feel like Barovia is going to be very fun and very dangerous for him specifically.
Yeah, I can see that.
But any questions?
I got a few. First one is we kind of leave a trail of open ends as we travel plane to plane. So, I'm thinking about like the Caterpillar Man, who was, I believe, Jarrell's patron. And he's like, yo, you got to, get rid of these giants. Also, there's this cool party going on. But then, the world exploded and we didn't really have a choice. We found another way out of there. So those things are open. So my question to you is, are those quests being resolved on their own without our input? Will they have any sort of implication for us not partaking in them later on? Or if, like, let's say we venture back into the Feywild, for example, using those two, maybe we can still go to those things. I mean, do you have plans for that? You don't have to tell me they are. I just want to know if you're, thinking that way.
I am a very much a long game planner, and I'm trying very hard to not do it as much with you guys because I want to live more and react more genuinely in the moment than planning out all these plots. But there are specific moments that I'm like, this is fun. I know how this should end, or I know where this may be. And there are moments out there. There have been moments in ties that were left unresolved before they even first left. when the campaign first kicked off, and I still have little things and being tied up in certain ways that I just have known that if you ever go to specific moments, towns, planes, actions have gone by. So yes, there are tie-ups. Not every single one is a big and important one, but they are there.
I like that.
Consequences.
And I've got one more character specific one, unless Mark, you want to go.
Yeah, I guess it's a question. Are we ever gonna make it back to the house that we got?
That's up to you guys.
Like,
you guys came back and appeared in a desert, and you're like, let's go after these mountains. No one said, let's go back to Brindspell.
That's far away.
That's all. That's me as a DM, where yes, it's a sandbox, and yes, I have a direction for you guys. But unless you all are like, let's go back to our mansion, that's where we're gonna go. Unless you guys bring that up, I'm not gonna say let's just go there. But it is there, maybe. Still,
when we get some teleport ability from someone, I think Azoth actually gets like that like tree walking one or whatever that was.
Maybe
Plant stride.
Plant stride. I think that can move us across the map a lot quicker. That might be after Barovia anyway. A way
Tree
back.
stride. But yeah, maybe. Could very well be.
All right. So a character question for Finks. And I don't want the answer. I want to know if there is an answer yet. So a huge part of his story is obviously he's a worshiper of the moon. But as I've told you, Anthony, the moon is just the moon. You know, it doesn't actually have any magic powers. And someone else is pulling the strings. As a cleric of trickery, you know, there's some god playing a trick on him, or some deity or some sort of malevolent force, whatever it is. Do you know what that is yet? Have you decided what you plan to do, or is it still kind of in the works?
It is in the works, but I have been thinking about it more recently since playing with the blood moon. I'll let you know. Some things just line up perfectly and are pure coincidental. And to see how you bit onto it, so pun not intended, so like you attach to the whole blood. Like, all right, this is like you really just anything moon related you hook to. I'm like, all right, this is maybe a moment that Finks's storyline or story arc, better said, is sooner than later in the work.
Very cool.
But I try to give everyone their own shine.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Finks has been on my mind when I do my drives to work. It's kind of where I do a lot of my brain storming. Yeah.
Actually, that brought something else up. You know, he found that blood scroll book from the Blood King, and you said it was all written in Elvish. How do you learn other languages? I feel like Finks would actually like try to learn Elvish because of this.
He would have to actually hold on. I
don't know.
I don't know that rule offhand, but
could he sit with
sorry
Azoth?
Test you. No, I don't. But that's the thing. I don't think I'd want Azoth to know.
Oh, okay.
It's like the pick of destiny. Why didn't you just get a translator and let him read it too?
Hold on. Languages. There is a rule for learning it.
I could see Finks just asking Azoth the most random things, like, "Hey, how do you say spaghetti in Elvish?" Like, this, you know, like, and you start making your own like Elvish dictionary.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to role play that, that's something that Finks is more than welcome to attempt to learn on his time. That is short answer. You have to learn it on your downtime between quests and afternoons and watches. So instead of immediately beginning your watch, you're going to have to put off the long rest to spend an hour learning Elvish. You'll have to find a book to learn it. As far as learning the languages and how long it will take, that's something we'll have to just kind of look into to see what the book would say takes the time to learn that.
Okay.
Or there's a magical item that you can learn languages, but quest item, or if he wants to do it in hardcore secrecy, buy a book, figure out how to do it himself.
All right. Might be the first book Finks ever bought, but good plan.
Mark, any questions, anything that you have curious from Azoth's point of view, anything that may give and shed light for our viewers and listeners to better understand and appreciate Azoth, or even your way of thinking as a player that you're like, well, what is the ruling on this, or how would this situation work out, and maybe give a little bit more insight to Azoth.
Yeah, I don't. All right, so we're in Barovia now. It's a different plane, right? It's like Bright or Faybala is here, like Barovia is here. It's not like Faybala is this one continent and Barovia is this other continent. They both exist here. They're different, right? Like
they both exist, but they're on different sound waves.
Okay.
Essentially.
Okay, that makes sense. So
multiverse, maybe, but even
right.
so, think it's kind of like its own little pocket dimension.
Right. So I want to try and be vague here, so I'm going to be very careful in how I word this. In this setting, this plane of existence, do all of the either creatures, gods, goddesses, beings exist continually through all planes? It's like Finks's moon goddess or whoever, is she still relevant in Barovia, or does that only exist in here? Like Howard's Yellow King, he's talking about wanting to convert people and do all these things. Are they just like, what are you talking about? Because who's that? Like, does Odin exist as the or Thor exist as the god of thunder in
yeah all right,
does that make sense?
That makes sense. So I have to give you two answers to this one. Short answer, the overall answer, realistically, you don't know specifically. It's something I can't give that away. But to kind of in Barovia specifically, you don't know yet. Okay. As players, that's something that there's a chance that Finks can do magic like fine, but then there may be a moment that he calls upon his god for a higher power, and it may react differently. Or you may do something religious as Azoth trying to contact Lolth, and you may talk to her, you may not. You may talk to someone different. You don't know how magic's going to work in this way.
Okay.
But to give the answer as far as a statement, to be able to give it a more of a concrete answer, is that Barovia itself, you won't know yet, but in other settings and other planes, there is a chance that it's a yes and no. Some planes have their own little cutoff pantheon, but then there are some planes that have the same gods as other pantheons.
Got it.
So like in Matt Mercer's realm of Critical Role, he has Raven Queen. Raven Queen is also a goddess that's in the Faerun setting. Different plane of existence, different settings, but the character is still present. Now, for my own personal lore, some of the stuff I've told you about the gods, Groomsh, the Red Lady, Lolth, is different than what 5e lore is. But I'm not deriving deep into their heavy lore. Just kind of like I'm lightly changing of how I would reinterpret their characters. They're still the same gods in my mind, but some of their actions I'm kind of reflavoring. But Barovia itself, you don't know yet. Generally, when you jump planes, because at some point that is a possibility that you can do, gods may or may not be able to reach you and work the same way.
Okay.
Or they could be the same. Don't know. Which would until you get there.
Cool.
But there are ones where they are. Any further questions or anything that you guys wish to know? Anything you wish to talk about before we wrap this up as an episode for Roll for Wisdom?
No other questions from me at the moment anyway. I can't think of anything.
I'm good.
All right. Well, I think something fun to do is, because I know Tony is a painter. He's got minis. You've been doing some great stuff. We are on video right now, and I got a bit of a mini I want to show off, and I'm thinking, Mark, picking Optimus Prime. Let's each show off a toy for everyone to view.
All right.
Something we had been working on, and we'll wrap it up. So on the spurt.
I just so happen to have a whole set of minis right here.
Oh, like this. Like this guy.
So many to choose from.
Oh, yeah. Get this a little bit closer. Okay. Got two little ones. Well, Tony's grabbing one and Mark's getting an Optimus. First one, guys, I just do love. It's something more simple. One of the ones I'd printed. This was the Solander. The little or not Solander. This was, oh my god, what was his name?
The Rat King, the sewer
Oh
man.
man,
Is that him?
yes, this was. I'm gonna go blank on his character name. He was a little bit of a creation off the spur of the moment, but I loved how I had the dry brushing with the green. It was the green of the slime. The camera's not wanting to focus with me, and it just was really simple, fun. But it's one of those, I whipped it up real quick, and it just happened to stick and look good. I love it when a mini does come off that way. One of the ones I really took some nice time with to try and make it look sort of authentic and a little bit more realistic of battle worthy rather than being all clean with sparkles and fresh colors. Was this a sweet were buffalo looking one from
Oh,
Reaper?
cool.
But I did use blood for the blood gods
Oh, dude, that paint's so cool, right?
on this. And I'll tell you guys, if you haven't yet, check out Blood for the Blood Gods paint from Citadel. Oh my God, it is awesome. Just trying to make the water buffalo look more authentic with the dry brushing on the legs to get that lighter brown tan color, but to get that worn, thick leathered looking hide with the ebony skin. I loved it, and I love painting. So that's what I got to share because we're on visual. Mark, what you got? Something fun.
Well, since we're talking about minis, I found probably the teeniest, tiniest Optimus Prime I own. So if I play as an artificer, I can summon Optimus Prime to roll out and run over the competition. Right?
That's great.
And
actually, Podsville.
Right. And then because my parents are awesome, for Christmas, I had actually asked for minis and stuff. So I actually got, and I have not opened it up yet, but I actually have stuff to learn how to paint with. So I have a giant jar full of minis and this beginner starter set to try and figure out how to actually paint, because I think that could be a lot of fun. And now that I'm going to school, I have something to try and do. So
awesome.
I'm excited to see what you do.
Speaking of painting and looking forward to it, Tony, Phoenix Forge, you posted some stuff recently.
So I have been in like a 5-month painting rut where just between the move and life just being busy, I haven't had a chance to get back to it. So I finally decided like one day, like, all right, I'm just whatever, any amount of paint on a mini is good. And that was enough to kind of like spark it. So this is the guy that kind of got me out of that. So let me try and get this focused right with the lighting. And this is not very good.
See this. I wasn't honestly, guys, showing minis and painting was a very spur of the moment, but hey, wanted to change it up a little bit.
But anyway, this is a Thousand Suns aspiring sorcerer from 40K. I kind of made him like a Shaolin, like monk bow staff style. But yeah, got me out of it. So there's better pictures online on Instagram if you want to check those out. But yeah, these guys are a lot of fun to paint. Anyone who paints this particular army, you can see like all like the gold trim on there. It takes forever. So you know, these guys take a while, but they're worth it. I think they look really good.
Well, everyone, if you're listening in, you could check it out at Phoenix Forge on Instagram. Check it out. Make sure you hit follow and like for Tony. Guys, Tony, Mark,
We can't
I'm
leave.
looking forward to see.
We got to plug
Oh.
some people. We got to talk about some of our like favorite things, like
yeah.
like the good guys over at DCT Industries
Yes.
and Kaimon and
Yes.
and Ichiban Games and
Yes.
like just stuff. We got to tell them to check these guys out.
There, guys, check out Ichiban Games official.com.
And
Make sure to check out.
Tabletop Gaming on Facebook.
There, we told them. People, go check them out. Listen,
Told.
tell them we told you.
If you don't follow them, we're gonna know.
Yeah, we'll know. Well, guys, thank you so much for everyone for joining us for tonight's episode of Roll for Wisdom. I've been one of your hosts, Anthony Mullen, resident dungeon master for the Faybala Five. I have two of my players with us for Tony and Mark. Thank you so much, everyone. If you are able to, grab that D20, because even though we're not playing D&D tonight, we still
Always roll.
always keep rolling.
Yeah, Bob Ross would roll.
That's all I got. I don't have a
Go,
D20.
go Bob Ross.